Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you're doing great. I hope you're rehydrated, refreshed. We're gonna start with the session two. Please tell me if my screen is visible and my voice is audible. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. I'm gonna share the attendance form in the chat box just right now. Please fill out that form, and by filling out that form, you'd be eligible for the certificate, or else your certificate would be missed. All right. I'm sharing it earlier here, so you guys can enjoy the session without an anxiety. I know many people here are just certificate driven, but please, as a trainer, I want you all, and I want to educate myself as well. Please don't be certificate driven, rather be education or purpose driven, right? Be process driven. Don't just only run after the outcomes. Like, the GMP is really important, and like getting it in your inside your head, it's really very important because I've shared the necessary case studies. And if we won't be following the GMPs, we have seen the devastating outcomes. And so that's why I guess this is really important. All right. Okay. So as you value your time, I've shared the attendance form. Please copy this. You can either fill it after the session, but copy it on your clipboard, as I won't be sharing it in the WhatsApp group. Or if you want to fill, you can. And in the end, I would be giving a question answer session time, or else you can fill it in that sphere. So without further ado, let's begin with the session. رب زدني علما رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Alhamdulillah, this is our final session. Sorry, yes, technically a final session with the final mod. So the topic of the final mod is safe food storage and guidelines. What does it mean? Let's just stop here. Storing food properly is just as important as cooking it right and safely. If the food isn't stored at the right temperature, right humidity levels, right pH, the right moisture activity, the bacteria would grow, even if it looks fine. All right. So it may look fine if we haven't given it the proper storage. It might look fine, but it is hazardous. So what are the storage best practices? The storage best practices are to prevent the food to be in a danger zone. The danger zone temperature is usually 6 degrees centigrade to 65 degrees centigrade. In this temperature, you're not allowed to keep your food more than 2 hours. Generally, uh, what we study theoretically, it's written that 4 hours, but when we practically see 2.5 hours are the maximum limit. Okay, or else the bacteria would start to multiply and reproduce. And the problem with the bacterial reproduction is that they grow exponentially. Within 20 minutes, they reproduce exponentially. So please avoid the danger zone, which is between 5 degrees centigrade to 65 degrees centigrade. And maximum you can store there theoretically is 4 hours, but usually people recommend that maximum 2.5 hours. All right. If it is a cold food, it must be stored below 5 degrees centigrade. If it's a hot food, it should be kept above 60 degree centigrade. Plus, what to do with the leftovers? We're studying about the storage best practices, right? We're studying about the storage best practices. So, what to do with the leftover food? It should be used within 24 hours if it is refrigerated, or use the airtight containers and label all the food with the preparation date. That's really important. Another best practice for storage is that use the FIFO method, first in, first out, or the first expiry, first out method. Put the oldest food in the rack as a placement which should come first, if I am able to make sense of it. The oldest food should be placed in such a way that when you approach the raw material, it comes first. All right. First in, first out. Put the new stock at the back of the shelf. Bring the older ones forward. All right. A local example from Rawalpindi, a university hostel canteen in Rawalpindi. There some students got sick after consuming leftover chicken curry uh, that had been stored for 3 days without proper refrigeration. So, what do we understand? That we do not store the food in the danger zone, the safe recommended time hours I've told you. But what's happened here in the local example? They stored it without refrigeration for 3 days. So just think of the microbial party in that food, in that chicken curry, because the chicken curry in it of itself has all the nutrition, relevant pH, relevant temperature, all the things facilitating the microbial growth. If you have studied the fat Tom, you'd know this, that if we give the nutrients, the temperature, time, moisture, oxygen, bacteria would reproduce, but naturally they would reproduce exponentially. So that's the thing. What are the practical examples how to combat this? Use and stick the temperature logs on the refrigerator, use date labels, conduct audits, maintain the and measure the temperature for the refrigeration and freezing as well. If not, then recalibrate or maintain, do the relevant maintenance for the freezer if it is not freezing at the right temperature of minus 18 degrees centigrade. If it is not providing the amount, the required temperature, if the refrigerator or the freezer is not providing the required temperature, then it should be maintained, it should be checked about by any professional, and it should be taken into consideration that why the refrigerator, which has the intent of chilling the food, is not chilling the food. So that's where the thermometer part comes in. So that's really important. All right. So yes, kitchen hygiene practices. So what should we do? Proper food storage. I've told about the labeling that helps you to assess the shelf life of the product. Number one. Number two, FIFO method. Use that. And another point, water tank locks. Like the water tanks that you are using, they should be clean. Tanks means the container or the place where you store the water, they should be clean. The water storage area should also be clean because they will be also be checked by the auditor during the compliance. Just like that, regular cleaning, emphasize the importance of frequent sweeping and mopping. No crumbles should be there on the ground. No particles should be left because this would highly increase the risk and chances of the pest like rodents and birds and cats and mouse. Their chances of infestation, it increases drastically. So we need to sweep and mop the floor. Material selection. When designing the facility, try to use stainless steel over wood because wood is porous in nature. It might accumulate some moisture content, which in turn would cause and facilitate some fungi or molds growth. To prevent that, use stainless steel. It is easy to clean and easy to handle. Furthermore, one more point, a special point, a bonus point, you can consider it. When you're designing the facility, when you see the corners of your, for example, if you're in a room right now, move your face above to the roof, you see a point where the walls are coinciding. It's like a triangle type structure. Please in the chat, tell me if you could see a point there, if I'm able to make sense. A point on the roof where the walls are coinciding. All right, that is a bit pointed shape. All right, if you could see, that's a bit pointed. If it would be a bit curved, it would be easy to clean. Did you understand my point? Please tell me yes or no. Okay, why if we made it such if we made that corner in such a way that it was a bit curved, why it would be good? Can anyone tell me? If the corner of the rooms, like there would be one, two, three, four, and eight. There would be eight corners, four at the top, four at the bottom. If you would just curve the surface, it would be easy to clean. All right. Sometimes when the facility is designed in such a way that it does not facilitate cleaning, it might cause fungal growth at the corners. All right. So when you just make it a bit curved, it's easy to mop, easy to clean. This is a bonus point. All right. So we've done with the material selection. Utensils separation. Uh, Keep the raw and the cooked utensils separate, not in the same area, please. That was a slip of tongue. Keep the raw and the cooked utensils separate to prevent the cross contamination. We've discussed this earlier. Have proper drainage, like ensure there is no standing water because standing water can contribute to the bacteria and the mold's growth. So make sure there is no standing water, or if there is some storage tank, the lid should be covered, or else the flies would just come in and hover around. It would be a general hazard to your food. Pest control. Pest control is really important. We have already done it in our previous slide. Talking about waste disposal, we have also covered that in the dustbins slide. All right. Foot operated and color coded, and it should be sanitized. Also done. Toilet separation. The toilet should be away from the food production area to prevent contamination. This is self-explanatory, no problem there. Okay, so our last point of fridge maintenance, regular cleaning and leak checks for fridge. As I told you in our previous slide, I guess that the freezer, its core purpose is to kill. No, basically its core purpose is to chill and provide a temperature where the microbial activity is reduced. Please keep in mind when you provide a cooling preservation or preservative method, the bacteria are not killed. They, because of the chilling activity, their activity is reduced almost to a negligible pace, but they are not killed. If they get their optimum environment, their favorable condition, they will be activated again. As compared to if you apply a thermal processing uh, method, that like pasteurization or retort, sterilization, blanching, these methods, they typically kill the microbes. Please, this is a plus point. Keep this in your mind that if you want to kill the bacterias and all of that, you'd be using a thermal processing method. But when you're using a cool or freezing processing method for preservation, it would not kill the bacteria, but it would reduce their activity to almost a negligible level. All right. But when those microbes get optimal environment, they'd be reproducing and growing as usual. All right. I hope I'm able to explain that. Furthermore, Alhamdulillah, we're here on our last slide, which is the raw material management. Basically, we're gonna see four aspects here, like the quality ingredients. Always opt for HACCP, ISO certified vendors. They also check the freshness and the product material integrity. Check the supply chain record, their invoices, their bills. This particularly helps with the product recall. If there's any chances of contamination or etc., there are high chances that you can trace back the product and even specify who was working there on a particular shift, and you can track it back. All right. So the supply chain record is really important. Furthermore, storage practices like labeling. Labeling is really important. It would help you estimate the shelf life, separate storage, no chemical cross contact. It prevent the cross contamination. Approved containers for storage. Please keep this point in mind that use the material of the product which is food grade. If you would not be using a food grade material, there are high chances that the particle material would leach into the product. it would come into the product, all right, and it would contaminate. If you'd be using a low quality steel, low quality metal, high chances of it being rusting. There are high chances of it being a rust. It can catch up rust, and rust particles can leach out in your food product. So that's why always prefer food grade packaging. In this sphere of packaging, the best packaging, as far as I have studied, is glass because it does not leach. But the main problem with the glass is that it's really fragile. It breaks easily. So that's the thing. But use food grade plastics. They are a bit costly. But look, with the initial investment that you made to opt for verified vendors or opt for food grade packaging, this is saving you the cost which you would more or less be spending when you would be hospitalized. God forbid. Look, if you don't opt for verified vendors, you use cheap material to store your product. There are some factors you're compromising on. You're compromising on your health, which would in turn cause you to visit hospital, cause you medicines. Why not prevent the problem at its root cause? Prevent the problem at its root cause. So please, whether you're a food handler, you're dealing with your kitchen, you have some subordinates, please invest in these food safety principles. This would pay you along. Look, if you would, God forbid, if you would hospitalize, your time would be wasted, your productivity would be lost. The time in which you could make some freelance extra money, you could spend time with your family if you were, God forbid, hospitalized if you do not follow these. So please keep these factors in mind. We what usually do as a consumer is we opt for the cheapest option. So it's better to do a cost benefit analysis, a SWOT analysis, and that would be really great. Plus, moving on to the main topic, having a dust-free area plus storage by categorization. As we talk about that, the wet food should be separated, the dry food should be separated in the storage. Avoid cross-contamination, and for the safety measures, check the raw eggs, unhygienic colors, and spoilage checks and expiry checks. Look, if we aren't using the food grade colors, usually what people do, they use the colors used for dyeing the clothes and the fabrics. Why? Because it is cheap, but they don't know that that is carcinogenic in nature. This is usually held at the local delis, the local carts. So please check for those, and check the spoilage checks, the expiry checks, the labeling, and that are the general basic raw material management guidelines. So Alhamdulillah, with that said, our session has been done. Thank you all, and for listening me patiently. And remember that food safety is not an extra work, it's the smart work. Every time you follow a GMP step, you are protecting a life. So with that said, please fill out the attendance form, and if you have any questions, I'm here, inshallah.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर। सर सेटिंग का बता दें, और मेन पॉइंट जो है रॉ मटेरियल का जो है वो भी बता दें सर।
Mr. Kifayatullah, please can you type in? That would be
ओके
really
ओके
easy
सर।
for me to
ओके सर।
manage the
ओके
question. Thank you. Thank you for the
ओके सर।
question. All right. Explaining the FIFO method. FIFO method basically is first in, first out. Javiria, I hope you're from Pakistan. So I'd be explaining in Urdu. Is that feasible? Yes. Okay. तो जवीरे देखें, जो आपने खाना समझ लें आप क्या लेके आई हैं, बिस्किट्स लेके आई हैं आप आज, उसकी एक्सपायरी डेट है कि 3 दिनों बाद वो खराब हो जाएगा। और आप एक बिस्किट आप लेके आई थी उससे पहले, जिसकी सेम एक्सपायरी डेट थी कि वो 3 दिन बाद खराब होगा, जिसका मतलब कि वो आज खराब होने वाला है। ठीक है, यानी आज तक अगर आपने उस फूड को यूज कर लिया तो ठीक है। आप पहले एक बिस्किट का पैकेट लेके आई थी, उसकी एक्सपायरी डेट इस तरह से है कि आज उसका लास्ट डे है इस्तेमाल करने का, कल वो खराब हो जाएगा, एक्सपायर हो जाएगा। और वो पहले वाला बिस्किट का पैकेट है। और एक दूसरा पैकेट है जो आप आज ही लेके आई हैं, जिसके आगे पास फर्दर 3-4 दिन और हैं जो एक्सपायर होने में टाइमिंग है आपके पास, 3 से 4 दिन है। तो आप कौन सा प्रेफर करेंगे यूज करना, ताकि वो वेस्ट भी ना हो, आपके पैसे भी बचे? वो जिसमें एक्सपायरी और शेल्फ लाइफ जिसकी ज्यादा है, या वो जिसकी कम है? बेसिकली आप वो वाला इस्तेमाल करेंगी कि जिसकी शेल्फ लाइफ कम है उसको आज ही इस्तेमाल, जैसे जो कल एक्सपायर हो जाएगा उसको आज इस्तेमाल कर लिया जाएगा। अब उस बिस्किट को आप भले कस्टर्ड में डाल दें, केक में एज क्रम्स डाल दें, या जैसे भी उसको यूज करें, तो उसको आप आज यूज करेंगे तो ठीक है। फर्स्ट इन जो आप पहले चिप्स का पैकेट लेके आई थी, वो बिस्किट का पैकेट लेके आई थी, चूंकि वो कल एक्सपायर हो जाएगा, वो आप पहले लेके आई हैं, तो उसको आपने आज यूज किया। और जो बिस्किट का पैकेट आप बाद में लेके आई हैं, उसकी चूंकि 3-4 दिन बाद एक्सपायर होना है, तो वो आप बाद में यूज करेंगी। तो फर्स्ट इन, जो चीज आप पहले लेके आई है, जो चीज पहले आई है, फर्स्ट आउट, वो पहले ही इस्तेमाल होगी, पहले ही बाहर जाएगी। ठीक है। अच्छा जी, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। मेन पॉइंट ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल गाइडलाइंस। अच्छा जी, अच्छा सवाल है। बेसिकली भाई, रॉ मटेरियल आपके पास आया है, उसको आप किस तरीके से मैनेज करेंगे? कुछ चीजें हैं स्टोरेज के एतबार से आपने लिस्टेड चीजों को देखना है, सप्लाई चेन के एतबार से कुछ चीजों को देखना है, क्वालिटी के एतबार से कुछ चीजों को देखना है, कुछ सेफ्टी मेजर्स हैं। ठीक है। हमारे पास टोटल 8 मिनट है। आप लोग मेरा ईमेल एड्रेस भी नोट कर लें प्लीज, स्क्रीनशॉट ले लें, अगर किसी का सवाल रह जाएगा तो उस पर देख लेंगे। और अटेंडेंस फॉर्म भी फिल कर लीजिएगा। ठीक है। डन। और अगर किसी को रिकॉर्डिंग चाहिए होगी तो इंशाल्लाह वो भी हम शेयर कर देंगे। ठीक है जी। हम्म। तो भाई, रॉ मटेरियल मैनेज करना है ना आपने, आपके पास कुछ रॉ मटेरियल आया है। ठीक है, समझ लें कोई वेजिटेबल्स आए, कुछ फ्रूट्स आए। ठीक है, किफ़ायतुल्लाह, आई नो यूर फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान, सो इजी। अब वो आ गया आपके पास, अब आपने उसको किस तरह से स्टोर करना है? उसको आपने प्रॉपर लेबलिंग लगानी है कि भाई वो खाना आपके पास, ये जो रॉ मटेरियल है वो कब आपके पास आया। ठीक है। ताकि आप फीफो का रूल उस पर अप्लाई कर सकें। सेपरेट स्टोरेज होगी ताकि कहीं क्रॉस कंडेमिनेशन ना हो जाए, कोई केमिकल उसके साथ मिल ना जाए, कोई एलर्जेंस उसके साथ मिल ना जाए। ठीक है। कोई पेस्ट वगैरह, कोई चूहे वगैरह उसको आगे नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्ट ना करें। इसी तरह अप्रूव्ड कंटेनर्स, यानी कुछ कंटेनर्स होते हैं स्टोरेज के डब्बे वगैरह, जो फूड ग्रेड होते हैं। ठीक है, यानी वो फूड स्टोर करने के लिए खास तौर से मैन्युफैक्चर किए जाते हैं, उस पर आप खाना स्टोर करें। वरना जनरल जो होते हैं वो ऐसे होते हैं कि यार आप उसमें कोई भी चीज़ डाल दें। ठीक है, आप कोई लोग घड़ी के मतलब घड़ी स्टोर की हुई है किसी डब्बे में, किसी डब्बे में किताबें रखी हुई हैं, किसी भी तरीके से आप उसको इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। लेकिन कुछ स्पेसिफिक होते हैं जो फूड के लिए होते हैं, तो उसको इस्तेमाल करना है। डस्ट फ्री एरिया, यानी एरिया में मिट्टी वगैरह ना हो, कैटेगरी के साथ स्टोर किया जाए, यानी वेट एरिया अलग हो, ड्राइड एरिया जो है वो अलग हो। क्रॉस कंटेमिनेशन से बचाना है, तो ये स्टोरेज की प्रैक्टिसेस है रॉ मटेरियल के लिहाज से। इसी तरह स्पॉइलेज के चेक करने हैं अपने, एक्सपायरी डेट चेक करनी है, प्लस जहां से आप खरीद रहे हैं ना रॉ मटेरियल, वो ऐसी जगह से हो जो कोशिश करें जीएमपी हैसेप आईएसओ सर्टिफाइड जगह हो। तो उससे आपको पता चल जाएगा, बट नेचुरली आपको खुद ये पता चल जाएगा कि भाई ये सिस्टम जो है वो सर्टिफाइड हुआ हुआ है इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स पे। जब वो हुआ हुआ है, तो आप वहां से आराम से फील फ्री, टेंशन फ्री आप ले सकते हैं। इसी तरह सप्लाई चेन का रिकॉर्ड होना चाहिए, बिल इनवॉइसेस जो भी आप पर्ची वगैरह लेते हैं, उसका रिकॉर्ड होना चाहिए, ताकि अगर खुदा ना खास्ता आपके मटेरियल में कोई आगे जाके मसला वगैरह आता है, कंज्यूमर कोई मसला बताता है, तो आप उसको रिकॉल करके बैक जाके उस बंदे को बता सकते हो कि भाई मैंने आपसे ये सामान लिया था, इसमें ये मसाइल हमारे पास आए हैं। अगर बस इनवॉइस होगी तो आपके पास प्रूफ होगा कि आपने फना फना जगह से ही लिया है, फना फना टाइम पे लिया है, तो वो पूरी एक पर्ची आपके काम आएगी। ठीक है। तो बेसिक इसमें सिर्फ यही चीज थी। Listen, we'd be expanding FIFO just as we'll be using that biscuit example. Yes, sir. Big skill mein it is really possible to follow GMP because, like, look, if you're applying, air dryer is just one of the examples. You can use alternatives or just, as I said, that the cleaning cloth should be sanitized and clean. So if you're expanding it to a large scale setup, you would be implementing HACCP. And in the HACCP, there are HACCP steps and principles, and plus there are some PRPs, if you know about that, prerequisite programs. Those are basically GMPs, good manufacturing practices, which cover the hygiene and all that stuff. So yes, this is implementable and this can be followed. And now you're saying that how can small industries manage? They can use alternative ways and they can consult the safety trainers and basically consult us. We'll be giving you personalized and customized solutions, inshallah. No problem. This is a generic PPT for public trainings. We conduct specific training according to specific needs. You can contact us at GFSS or Food Youth Academy, inshallah. We'll be happy to facilitate. I hope with that said, we're done with the questions. We're left with 4 minutes. If you have any questions, please send them. Please fill out the attendance form. I'm repeating. Without this, you won't be eligible to achieve your certificate. I hope this was a really fruitful session and looking forward to meet you guys again in another session or in a refresher of GMP. And this is Miyawar signing out. Ali Hassan is saying GMP is prevention. Look, HACCP basically, HACCP, if you know about HACCP, HACCP stands on HACCP's own principles and steps, plus some PRPs. Those PRPs, they're also prerequisites programs, they're also known as GMPs. No problem. So when we implement both of those GMPs or you may call it PRPs and HACCP program, when we in a holistic view implement both of those, then we constitute for a HACCP program overall. Without GMPs or PRPs, your HACCP program won't be implemented or it won't be counted as a proper full HACCP program. All right. So there are some hygienic practices that you need to follow. And those constitute as GMPs or also known as the PRPs. All right. I guess that's it. Thank you guys. This is me, Babar, signing out. Take care. Allah Hafiz.